It was Bruce Springsteen, and it's the first time I went to any of his concerts, and I was absolutely amazed. For a group of that age, I'm not going to the website. Anyways, they're not so young, but they rocked for 2.5 hours. The dude played non-stop for 2.5 hours. I don't know how he did it. I frankly don't know how he did it. It was excellent. I liked it.
What was your...
It was his energy. Because I didn't, a few of these songs I've heard before, but I'm not like a huge fan that, I listen to it all the time. It was his energy, I just tuned in his energy and it was fantastic. I love it.
If you could tell...
These are musicians. And I mean musicians with a capital M, not like these groups that put together a marketing show. These guys are musicians.
Rock and roll.
It's Mary Beth's first Springsteen concert. So how did you like your first Springsteen concert?
It was great.
It was great.
How many times have you seen Bruce Springsteen?
I can tell you that I first saw Bruce Springsteen on the Sunset Strip. We all know the Sunset Strip.
I do.
At the Roxy.
Wow.
Before you were born.
That's a long,
Should
long
I tell
time.
you what year?
Go for it.
1975.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many times have you seen Bruce since 1975?
Maybe something like 20 or 24 times.
I can't imagine. Anyways, there was a period in time where Bruce Springsteen wasn't the boss because he's managed to keep the name for so long. But what would you say about Bruce Springsteen now versus Springsteen then?
The most obvious thing, even though, as you say, he's still a great performer, great songwriter, great and wonderful human being. He talks and tells stories that are important and part of the current history of the day. He does all of those things. Great musician and has a great backup band. The one thing that's the most obvious as to what's different is he was famous, legendary. He became the icon he was on tour because he did a 4-hour concert. Well, tonight it was a 2.5-hour concert. Well, if you're an old Springsteen fan, you could be a little spoiled by the idea that he no longer does 4-hour concerts.
But if you're an old Springsteen fan, you're old enough to understand why he can't do 4 hours anymore.
4 hours.
Right.
I'm Dennis. This is
Kim.
Kim.
Hi.
And what were you guys up to tonight? What was going on?
Well, we flew in from Hawaii to see this concert, and I mean, how many guys can you see that were like relevant in the 70s, relevant in the 80s, relevant in the 90s, still relevant? A third of what he did was still from his newest couple of albums, and then he reaches back and does the Seeger stuff from the 50s and 60s. I mean, holy moly, who can do that? It was just the most amazing experience.
You welled, didn't you? You welled. You didn't spill, but you
No, I
welled.
cried like a freaking baby is what I did at sometimes,
Okay.
and then I just screamed like a kid.
This is his birthday present.
It was awesome. It was funny. There were a couple songs that caught me really by surprise. When he did like Rosalie to come out tonight, that's from his first album, and then he finished on an Irish song from the Seeger album.
Did he write that song?
No, it's an old folk song. It's an old Irish folk song, and so I mean, just the way he kept spanning things and hitting different things, and then you'd see him wrap his arms around Stevie, you'd see him wrap his arms around Clarence.
Clarence is incredible every time I see him.
You could sit down and just spend 2 hours watching Bruce and Clarence, or Bruce and Stevie, or Bruce and Roy,
Max
or Bruce and
Weinberg.
Max. Yeah, exactly. And it just, I mean, the thing was 2.5 hours long, and it wasn't enough. I could spend 5 hours watching the guy.
We had some people tell us that they used to be 4.5-hour shows.